Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Big Sam's Long Balls podcast with me, Dan. I hope you're enjoying transfer deadline day as much as I am, as I'm trying to pretend to be Jim White. Just need a little tie. Anyway, we're going to be talking about a potential transfer that could be happening. Very, very unlikely, but still an interesting story that has come from The Athletic, and that is regarding Mason Mount. Now, Mason Mount has been heavily linked to signing a new long-term deal, potentially a 7-year deal at Chelsea. So, potentially a massive contract renewal at Chelsea Football Club, which I'm sure, most likely he would love to do. It's big. He is a Chelsea boy. However, there is some reports from the Athletic that Mason Mount is wanted by three of the biggest clubs in England, as well as others from abroad. Now, the Athletic is a genuine source. You've got some top tier journalists in there, so I think it's worth looking at. In my personal opinion, I can't see Mason Mount leaving, especially today on transfer deadline day. I think with the Premier League tax, the British tax as well, if you want to sign Mason Mount, you're probably going to have to spend upwards of 70, 80 million, especially if Chelsea themselves are willing to spend potentially 67, 70 million on someone like Anthony Gordon. Then someone like a Mason Mount is going to be even more expensive than that. And let's be perfectly honest, he is not worth that amount of money. He's a good player. There's no doubt about that, but he's not a player that's worth anywhere near £100 million. I like Mason Mount. I do. I didn't used to. I think when I first saw him, I thought lots of energy. I actually thought he was a little bit similar to Jordan Henderson. A little bit wrong there, but I didn't quite get it. And I used to debate this with my girlfriend. She was a big Mason Mount fan, probably because he's a good looking lad. Let's be perfectly honest. But anyway, old home wrecker has managed to win me over. Um, he is a good player. There's no doubt about that. He's fantastic on the ball. He's got good pressing. He can get you goals. He can get you assists. I know that he isn't doing that currently at this moment in time, but let's be perfectly honest. No one in that Chelsea team is really getting any goals, to be perfectly honest. So let's have a little look at this. He's wanted by three of the biggest clubs in England. Well, that's a little bit of an ambiguous statement. Who are the three biggest clubs in England? That alone could be a podcast in and of itself. I'm reading this on the Anfield Watch, which is a Liverpool page. So obviously, first of all, let's look at the idea of Mason Mount at my team, Liverpool. Highly, highly unlikely. A signing that actually I wouldn't mind seeing, but again, not for the amount of money that it would take probably to get Mason Mount. And this sort of reading that the first comment is just instant. I don't want him. He's a good player. I think he would fit in a Jurgen Klopp system. There's no doubt about that. He will get you goals. He will get you assists. Full of energy, pressing mentality. I think he would fit right in. However, we've just signed Arthur Melo on loan. It's been reported that one of the reasons why we're doing that is so we don't have to spend anything on a transfer fee, so we can save our money and go big on Jude Bellingham in 12 months' time. So the idea of Mason Mount leaving Chelsea to go to Liverpool, I would say would be 0.5 out of 10. Wanted by three of the biggest clubs in England, so we'll have to look at Manchester City. Would he be a Pep Guardiola type signing? I would argue that possibly, possibly. I think he could do a job for Manchester City. I think there are other players out there. I suppose maybe if Bernardo Silva was to leave, maybe Mason Mount could go in. Manchester City fans, Manchester City fans, he would go to Manchester City. City fans yourselves, let me know in the comments. Would that be a deal that would interest you? Looks on paper like a bit of a downgrade, but I think he would be a signing that could go to Manchester City, and Pep Guardiola improves pretty much 90% of footballers on the planet. So he would do a good job with Mason Mount. The only way I could imagine Mason Mount going to Chelsea is if going to City from Chelsea is if Manchester City need more British players. Simple as that. And it's a little bit cynical, but would they be happy to spend 60, 70 million on an English player who will just play occasionally? Possibly. Arsenal, we could look at. They obviously are still in the market. They're looking at a midfielder, Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa. Looks like it could potentially be happening. Yuri Tillemans is another one who's been heavily linked to Arsenal. Arsenal fans are also really, really desperate for a wide man. He's a player who I think Mason Mount can play really anywhere across the attacking line, other than sort of the number 9 position. He can play out wide. He can play as a number 10. He can play in a midfield 3. So I think actually for Arsenal, I think it would be a very good piece of business if they were able to get him. I think he would suit their club down to the ground, and he would be that would be one transfer out of all of the clubs between, I don't think it would work at Liverpool. I don't think it would go to Manchester City. Arsenal would be a place actually where I think it could work for Mason Mount. Another club, Manchester United, well, they're spending money like there is no tomorrow. They've just unveiled Anthony for about 100 million euros or pounds. That's a bonkers signing to me. That, I mean, it's a good signing. There's no doubt about it. Anthony's a good player, but 100 million, Jesus Christ. Anyway, if we look at Manchester United, they're going to have, when Martial's fit, he's going to lead the line, probably Jadon Sancho out on that left, Anthony on the right-hand side, maybe Rashford through the middle as well, sort of coming in and out with Martial. And then you've got that midfield three. You've got to have Casemiro. I think you're going to have Bruno Fernandes. So there is that possibility of Mason Mount coming in for that third midfield role. It is currently Christian Eriksen, but other than that, you have Scott McTominay, you have Fred. So maybe if Manchester United continue to spend the money like they are, Mason Mount at Manchester United would work. I could see it actually working. I think it would be a really good piece of business as a midfield three of Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, and Mason Mount, just behind sort of Sancho, Anthony, Rashford, or Martial, or potentially Ronaldo if he does play. I think that would be a really good piece of business. So in terms of like English clubs, if he was to leave Chelsea, I think maybe Manchester United or Arsenal would be the two most likely options in terms of what would suit him. Would Chelsea sell to a rival? I don't know. But biggest clubs in England as well as others from abroad. So obviously he's gaining interest from teams in Europe, potentially Bayern Munich. Would a team from Europe have to pay as much as a Premier League team? I might give the opinion that maybe not. I think if English teams wanted to go and sign Mason Mount, they would probably have to pay maybe 15 million, maybe even 20 million more. Whereas if a European team wanted him, he might be sold for a little bit cheaper. Obviously not going to a direct rival, and there is more money in the Premier League. Anyway, out of all of this, I do think the most likely option is he will stay. I think he will certainly stay at Chelsea today. He won't move this window. I don't think you see him moving in January. Maybe next summer he could potentially move, but I would argue that the most likely option for Mason Mount is that he will stay at Chelsea Football Club. They want to sign him to a new long-term deal, and I would imagine that he would want to sign that. He's been a big favourite under the two managers that he's played for, really, at Chelsea. He was a big favourite under Frank Lampard. He was a huge favourite under Thomas Tuchel. He's a big favourite under Gareth Southgate as well. So he is a manager's favourite. That clearly happens. So I think the most likely option is that Mason Mount probably stays. However, I wanted to do a video on this because this popped up and I thought it was quite an interesting sort of rumor going around today on deadline day. Like I said, the Athletic are a genuine source. It hasn't come from absolute nowhere. So maybe there is interest in Mason Mount, but even if there is, it doesn't necessarily indicate that Chelsea would be willing to sell. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comments down below. Chelsea fans, how do you feel about Mason Mount? I know he is a player that I often read about where it's very, very mixed. Some Chelsea fans love him. There are a lot of Chelsea fans who really feel that he offers that team absolutely nothing. And if you could get 60, 70 million for him, and if you could get it today, would you then go out and splash that money on a centre forward or an Anthony Gordon from Everton, who you're obviously really, really eager to go and sign? So Chelsea fans, let me know your thoughts on Mason Mount. Would you rather keep him, see him sign a new long-term deal, or would you be happy to actually see him go? And fans from other clubs, it doesn't have to be the teams I just mentioned, but anyone out there, would you want to take Mason Mount, and how much would you value him at? So yeah, a bit of an interesting rumor, that one today. We'll sort of keep an eye on it. Anyway, that was this video regarding Mason Mount. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, subscribe, comment down below, and thank you so much for watching. So we'll see you very soon.